boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Dave Allen met up with Ajit Caballero at the Usyk Dubois event. And I'm paraphrasing, he said, "He's me. He's just a better version of me." So he sees himself as a similar fighter in style to Caballero. I'm not sure about that. I'd have to study it and look to see if I can understand where Dave Allen was coming from. But is that why he picked Makhmudov? Makhmudov was shocked that Eddie Hearn and Dave Allen chose him. You could see on Eddie Hearn's face, he was surprised that Dave picked him out of the short list of opponents that were offered. A lot of people seem shocked. I'm not shocked. Perhaps Dave sees certain skill sets that Caballero utilised to defeat Makhmudov, that he could do the same. Dave's a decent body puncher. Go look at that left hook that he took Lucas Brown out with. And obviously Caballero used that body attack to dismantle Makhmudov. The reason I'm not shocked he took the fight, because when they were speaking about the TKV fight, on one of my uploads you can hear me saying, I believe Dave loses this fight. My reasoning was, a Dave Allen who's not motivated is going to go in the ring all sloppy against Jamie TKV, because even though he knows it's a difficult fight, TKV doesn't give him the fear factor. Kind of like Leroy Thomas didn't give him the fear factor when Eddie Hearn lined it up on a plate for Dave to win the Commonwealth title, and he blew it.
I heard you around a few times, each time you blew it.
And Dave Allen basically backed up what I said. He said when he thinks of Makhmudov, he puts the junk food back in the fridge. He wants to train. He knows he can't make no mistakes. So I wasn't surprised he chose Makhmudov. But can he beat him? Yes, he can. But will he beat him? Makhmudov is very hittable. Dave has the faster hands. We'll see how tough Dave is. Dave has a granite chin. And Caballero's high guard held up. He didn't have it all his way against Makhmudov. Will Dave Allen's high guard hold up like Caballero's did? If it does, it could be a difficult night for Makhmudov. Dave believes his counter-punching skills will be effective against Makhmudov. And as long as he doesn't get knocked out, I believe he's right. Makhmudov is slow. Very slow. Someone like Dave Allen will be able to read Makhmudov like a book. Makhmudov, when he's not attacking, he would try to use his reflexes and lean away from punches. But Carlos Takam managed to crack him with a whole load of counters. Takam was also able to lead with hooks from either hand and catch him. And rather than build from a long jab, Makhmudov will jab to the body, but he'll just throw long rights from far out, which in theory can be countered. One of my worries for Dave Allen is that he throws single shots in there. He needs to put his punches together and stay composed. If he's missing, stay composed. The counter punching opportunities will eventually present themselves. You've got the crowd behind you, stay composed, and if Dave can chew up Makhmudov on the inside, where the fight is likely to be won, could be a very popular victory up north and around England. A lot of people are writing Dave Allen off, but Dave's fought a lot of punchers. Dillian was a puncher. Luis Ortiz was a puncher. Lucas Brown was a puncher. David Price, who gave Dave Allen a bad beating, he was a puncher. Dave has never been starched in all the pro fights he's had. He's never been starched. It's an interesting fight. Makhmudov is coming off that stoppage against the Jamaican, who had a high knockout percentage, undefeated. But all you got to do is look under the bonnet. The Jamaican's resume was gash. I'm still not convinced this is the second coming of Dave Allen, despite the 2 victories. And I know they awarded Johnny Fisher the first victory. But I'm going to say it how I want to say it. Despite the 2 victories against Johnny Fisher, I'm not sure if this is Dave Allen reincarnated. I give him a fighting chance of beating Makhmudov. Dave would probably get knocked out in 2 rounds now. But Dave is a squatly built heavyweight. I believe Dave can use his low center of gravity to weave and roll a lot of Makhmudov's shots and make him pay when he overextends. We'll see how the fight plays out. I believe he might have some issues punching down at Dave Allen. Now Makhmudov will be looking to use them big forearms, push down on Dave in the clinch and drain his battery. Hopefully the referee gets a grip on that, and Dave needs to be in tip-top conditioning, because as limited as Makhmudov is, he has the physicality to really hurt somebody badly in there early on. It's not going to be easy. But look, I always thought Makhmudov looks more intimidating than the actual threat he poses amongst the top heavyweights. But is Dave a top heavyweight? He's got to prove himself in this one. He's got hometown advantage. Not that I believe none of that bothers Makhmudov in the slightest. I've still got to pick a winner, but I'm still undecided. I'm going to have to get back to you later on a winner. I like the matchup though. I think what Dave is doing is testing himself like perhaps he didn't do when he was younger. Dave wants to see what he can do if he really trains hard for a fight, which is great incentive and motivation. If he comes in ill-prepared for this and it goes pear-shaped, he knows what's coming from the media and the fans.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes. No one can do it better.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes. No one can do it better.
The DAZN commentators seem to be suggesting that Regis Prograis' punch resistance has gone. And while it's probably not improving at age 36, I think we're just looking at a fighter who's been used to using his reflexes and instincts, which got him through fights previously when he was younger, getting hit a lot more flush than we're used to seeing. He needs to make some serious adjustments. That lead right hand is way too low. And now I know this weren't the main event, and I've still got to watch the whole of Duarte and Kenneth Sims. But I was always interested in this fight. I've always been a big fan of Prograis, and I've always been a big fan of JoJo Diaz. And I knew this was going to be a good fight. In several of the 10 rounds, Regis was the aggressor, threw more punches, but he'd always get caught. JoJo was timing that left hook and catching him normally after Regis threw his own punches. It was a very good fight. Regis threw some very good combinations. JoJo blocked a lot of them, but Regis threw some very good combinations. And JoJo was the puncher with the single shots, tagging Regis hard. JoJo was cut over the left eye. Not sure if it was a head clash or a punch. Prograis early on headhunted a little too much. In the middle rounds, there was one sequence where JoJo pushed Regis to the canvas, then hit him while he was down, which was a bit arms house. But the fight continued. You know what was really weird in the 6th round, right? They stopped the action because JoJo was bleeding. The referee put up 2 fingers and asked JoJo, how much fingers have I got up? 1. Then he put up 1 finger. How much fingers have I got up? 2. Now, I was trying to work it out in my head. Is JoJo dyslexic? Because I was thinking maybe he had double vision, but if I put up 2 fingers, double vision ain't going to make you see 1. And the referee ignored it. And the fight continued. If you're giving the boxer instructions, tell me how much fingers are up there, and he's getting it wrong and you don't act on it, what's the point? But JoJo is a true warrior. He punished Prograis with right hands to the body that hurt him, and Prograis himself is a warrior. This was a very good fight. Prograis' legs looked unsteady even when he wasn't getting hit. And in the later rounds, JoJo looked like he was working him over. Prograis' reflexes are obviously shot. JoJo got no real business to be fighting at super lightweight, in all honesty. They gave Regis a UD. I can see why, because even though JoJo may have landed the more telling punch that would change the course of the round, it was more often than not after Regis did the better boxing in the round. Regis got a little too aggressive in the first, the bigger man trying to put the smaller man in his place, and that's why he was getting caught early like that. But what a fight it was. One of the scorecards, 98-92, not too clever. Can't argue with 96-94 for the other two. The commentary team on DAZN were calling for a rematch. The Chicago crowd seemed to really like the fight, and yeah, they could definitely do it again.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes. No one can do it better.
So Johnny Fisher has parted ways with Mark TIBBS and has announced that Tony Sims will be his new trainer at the Matchroom gym. Fisher still ranked number 15 with the WBO. I guess he's looking for a fresh start and he's looking to rebuild under Tony Sims. He's still only 26, so he's going to give it a go. The last fight with Dave Allen ended in disaster in the 5th round. Tony Sims has worked with the likes of Anthony Joshua. He was his first pro coach, wasn't he? Till Anthony went back with Rob McCracken. Johnny's current record is 13-1-0, 11 inside the distance. I have a feeling Matchroom will be matching him relatively light for the first 3 or 4 comeback fights. The comment section on the Everything Boxing post was interesting. Somebody asked, how is he still ranked? Everything replied, popular fighter with powerful promoter. Alois Jr. is like top 5 in the WBA. Laughing out loud. I was going to ask how is he still ranked, but I let it go because you find when you're doing these uploads, a lot of the commentary you do and responses you have to certain articles and stories are mostly with a very scrutinizing eye. And you don't want to come across like you're just attacking boxers all the time. But how is he still ranked?
The question remains.
Someone else says, fighters never like to blame themselves for a defeat. Let's change trainers. Even a casual fighter fan would tell you Johnny Fisher is bang average. Someone else says, people saying he's going nowhere, but he has a lot more speed and power than Clark and TKV, who are fighting for the British. He can be moulded, and Sims coaches an aggressive style, a heavyweight version of Ben's style. I mean, this guy is insinuating that Johnny has more attributes than the likes of Fraser Clark, who is a common opponent with Johnny Fisher, and that's Dave Allen. Dave Allen was stopped in the corner. In his own words, he quit against Fraser Clark. Fraser Clark is an Olympian. Fraser Clark got a draw with Fabio Wardley. Johnny Fisher hasn't achieved anything like that. So you're judging this speed and power based on what? On the subpar opponents he's faced? Someone else said he should just carry his dad's Chinese scram now, as he's not going to succeed any more than British level as a boxer. And this last one I'm going to read out says, Tony Sims and Mark TIBBS are the same person. Well, they're both Cockneys. Is he basically saying neither has distinguished themselves as trainers? Tony Sims has produced world champions. Darren Barker, Joe Cordina, interim champions like John Ryder. I'm not sure if Mark TIBBS has produced any champions. Male champions. I can't think off the top.
Boxing. Beats and rhymes. No one can do it better.
Could the 193-pound Roy Jones, who beat John Ruiz, beat Olexander Usyk? Well, Roy believes he would beat Usyk. He might have the speed to give him some issues. I do think Usyk has the better chin. Through the 90s, there was always debates whether Roy could take a shot or not, because he rarely got hit cleanly around that region of the head. But Lou Duval, he put him on the canvas when Roy was defending his 175-pound title, and it was a big knockdown. Roy got up and won the 12-rounder. Let me be a realist. Roy has a set mindset of his attributes and what he would do to Usyk. I don't have that insight that he has. He's a former multiple weight world champion. How can I really judge how well Roy would do against Usyk? If he had fought Tyson, Tua, Lennox Lewis, then I could look at the results and gauge how he would do against Usyk, who beat AJ twice, Derek Chisora, beat Daniel Dubois twice, and beat Tyson Fury twice. Actually fought the best of his era. Roy didn't do that at heavyweight. How can you say you can beat the current undisputed heavyweight champion when you yourself picked off the weakest branch on the tree and then ran back down to 175? I think a better debate would be how James Toney would have done against Usyk. Because James Toney beat John Ruiz, got popped for roids, and it was returned as a no contest. But he arguably beat Sam Peter in that first fight. And Sam Peter was an unbeaten, hard-punching heavyweight contender who actually won the title. James Toney beat Evander Holyfield, a faded Holyfield. But that body punching he put on Evander that night had the whole boxing world talking. Let's just say that. I don't think Roy beats Usyk at heavyweight. I really don't. I don't think he does. And I'm not in that crowd of people who just overhype Roy. Roy is a brilliant fighter. But there is perspective, which I'm not going to ignore. Roy, in his prime, lost to Montel Griffin via disqualification. He was frustrated. Does Montel Griffin beat Usyk? Am I being hateful if I say Roy has lost to worse fighters than Usyk? Is that victory over John Ruiz enough for anyone to make a serious assessment that Roy would beat Usyk? I don't believe it is. Now, if I point out Roy's previous cruiserweight fights against Lebedev and Macronelli and Danny Green and how he got knocked out badly, you're going to say, well, we're not talking about that version of Roy Jones. The problem with that, the period where Roy started losing is about a fifth of his career. I don't think Roy beats Usyk at cruiserweight or heavyweight. I can't prove it because I don't have a time machine, but I don't believe Danny Green, Macronelli or Lebedev beat Alexander Usyk at 200 pounds. David Haye, he says he would have beat Olexander Usyk. Now, he's got a more extensive heavyweight resume than Roy does. He says he can see a version where he nails him with a right hand. If he catches him, he wins the fight. If he doesn't catch him because he's too slick, then he'll probably lose on points. So he's basically saying he's got a puncher's chance. I don't see how someone who's basically telling us he's got a puncher's chance beats Usyk. He's going to need more than a right hand. Anthony Joshua's got a harder right hand than David Haye. Now, David Haye knocked out Derek Chisora where Olexander Usyk couldn't. But Usyk isn't going to walk square in to David's right hand like Derek did. Styles make fights. See, I rate David Haye. I think David Haye would just add to the list of British heavyweights that Usyk has beat. Lost to Tony Bellew twice. Lost to Klitschko. Lost to Carl Thompson. Arguably, he's losing to fighters who are not better than Usyk. But yet, he's saying he would beat him. We'll never know. Two different eras. And this is why I was saying I don't really get too caught up in these all-time great discussions between fighters from two different eras. I don't get caught up in it a lot because here's the thing with David Haye. Was he a better cruiserweight than Usyk? Probably scored more knockouts, but he wasn't undisputed. Didn't fight Steve Cunningham. And he definitely wasn't a better heavyweight than Usyk. See, everyone's looking at the skill, Usyk skill. No, look at the gas tank. Look at the chin. Do Roy or David Haye have better chins or gas tanks than Usyk? I don't believe they do. Punch output. More punch output than Usyk? I don't believe they do. And a lot of people are underestimating Usyk's toughness. All this all-time great talk from people who ain't breaking shit down. You see, I don't care if you want to say Roy Jones was a better fighter than Usyk. I enjoyed Roy Jones' career. That's your opinion. It's all opinion-based. But Usyk's championship round finish is extremely impressive. As impressive as any of them ATGs you want to talk about. David Haye had a very suspect gas tank. I don't believe he survives a championship round finish against Usyk. After he's tried to land his best punches from that ambush style of boxing, what's he going to do when we get to 9, 10, 11, 12? And it hasn't worked. And Usyk's getting stronger. Roy was boxing well against Lebedev and he got clipped. Forget Usyk at 200 pounds. If Gassiev clips Roy at any stage of the fight, what happens? I think Haye's speed and Roy Jones' speed, and them not being as cumbersome as the likes of Fury and AJ, could bring a different slant if you're matching up Haye and Roy against Usyk. And who knows, maybe Usyk's next fight, the opponent may able to expose a weakness that we never knew about. That's boxing. But from what I've seen of Usyk and what he can do as a pro, and the fact that Roy and David Haye have completed both their careers, I'd have Usyk the favourite against either of them at cruiser and at heavyweight, because they're the only two weights Usyk could fight either of them as pros.
Boxing beats and rhymes. No one can do it better.